Yo. Let's go! A Friday edition of the show all across America. SportsMap Radio. Worldwide. SportsMap Radio app. You can watch us as well right now over on Twitch. Twitch.tv. Jason Page 77, the place to go there if you want to watch the show tonight. We're keeping tabs on the World Series. 5-5. What a wild game this has been. It looked like it was going to be an Astros runaway with 2 Kyle Tucker home runs in the first 3 innings, making it 5-0. It's accounted, I think, for all 5 runs the Astros have scored in this game. But this Phillies team has got some special thing going on right now. What's that term? The secret sauce? They have that secret sauce right now. We'll be keeping tabs on the World Series. The live betting, which we love to do. I'm telling you, it's where you make your money, folks. Live betting. We'll keep tabs on the live betting as we go throughout the night and give you some of the information there. Very strange day in the sports world. The news this morning that everybody woke up to with Tom Brady and Giselle divorcing. We'll get into that coming up in a few minutes. We'll also talk some fantasy with Jamie Eisenberg in this hour. CBS Sports fantasy football expert Jamie Eisenberg, a regular on this show. Get into some of the yeses and nos, the do's and don'ts of fantasy football. I don't know why my mic arm is doing that. So I'll have that coming up in the show tonight. It's actually a 2-guest night, which I rarely do. Matt Verderam will join us in the second hour of the show. Fan-sided national NFL reporter, also a friend of this show. We'll talk with Matt, get some thoughts with him on what's going on around the league. I got to find out from him what's going on with Jacksonville, too, because we were both high on Jacksonville. He was high on them before the season started. And I think we all thought at 2-2, looking at that AFC South, they were the team that was going to come out of there, and now all of a sudden you turn around, they're 2-5. So we'll talk with Matt Verderam coming up in the second hour of the show. Page's Picks, we got that for you tonight in the second hour as well. Whole bunch to do on this Friday edition of The Cash-In. Let's get it started in just moments on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. The phone number to be a part of it is 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show at the back page. Now, before the series last night, I predicted Phillies in 6. And I'll be honest, everything on paper says the Astros should win. But this Phillies team just feels like a team of destiny. And you're talking about a team that fired its manager, 30 games into the season, something like that. Joe Girardi, a World Series champion as both a head coach and a player. And they bring in Rob Thompson to be the interim manager, and all of a sudden, they get hot in the second half of the season. They hang on for a wild card spot, hold off the Brewers, and now here they are in the World Series. And we've seen it happen before. The 2003, now Miami Marlins, then the Florida Marlins, did this with an interim manager in Jack McKeon and a young team and a couple of veterans, and all of a sudden they were World Series champions. So it's not like there isn't a precedent for this. They beat the Yankees in the World Series, who were, a juggernaut, and everybody had them pegged to win the World Series against the upstart Marlins. And then all of a sudden the Marlins had their second World Series. So don't think it can't happen, Astros fans, because it certainly can. Up 5-0, and now it's 5-5 as they play in the, 6th inning, something like that. And you got to say this, too. Look, if we're going to get on people for not performing in the postseason when they've had great regular seasons, Justin Verlander has had 3 starts in the playoffs, and 2 of them have been stinkers. Stinkers. Simple as that. And they were able to get away with it in the first series. And who knows? Maybe tonight they wind up winning too. But it's 5-5 middle innings of that game 1 of the World Series as they go to the top of the 6th inning, actually, in that game. Live betting, we're going to keep you posted on it all night. Right now, the Phillies are plus 118 on the money line. The Astros are minus 150. Phillies on the run line plus 1.5, minus 390. And the Astros minus 1.5 at plus 280. And the total is at 13 right now in the live betting in a 5-5 game going to the top of the 6th inning. The big story of the day in sports was undoubtedly what took place this morning. And the night after dropping to 3-5 for the first time, I think, in his career. If not since 2002 or 2003, I forget what it is. But for basically, the first time in ages. Tom Brady is 3-5 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I've listened to a lot of quarterbacks talk about this. I've listened to a lot of pundits talk about this. I don't think anybody watching Tom Brady throw the football thinks it's necessarily a Tom Brady alone problem that the Buccaneers have. Sure. I mean, would it help if he was more mobile and not 45 years old and basically a statue in the pocket? Of course it would. But that's not his game, and the Buccaneers knew that when they had him. It's never been his game. That's not what you're asking him to do. But this team is 3-5. They lose last night at home to the Ravens. And then this morning we wake up to the news that Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen had divorced. And I get a little cringy at talking about this as a sports radio topic with him and Gisele divorcing. Squeamish is a word I would use to describe it as it relates to discussing the personal life of Tom Brady. Because this is real life stuff. We talk about sports and we try to take it seriously. And sometimes we even take it too seriously. But this is real life. There's kids involved. There's families involved. There's real emotions. There's people who have invested tons of themselves emotionally. It is not something to take lightly. And I'm sure there are some shows out there today that have. I won't be one of them. Because divorce is no joke. I've had friends go through it. I recently had a sister go through one. And I can tell you from experiencing through her eyes, and granted that's sort of a partisan lens, viewing it through my sister's eyes and not necessarily through the eyes of her now ex-husband. But I had a up-close and personal view of what divorce is like, and it's ugly. It's hellish. Sometimes they can be really ugly. And that's not necessarily the case in as it relates to Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. It sounds like everything was amicable. They walked into the court, signed the papers, boom, stamped it was done. It took months for my sister's divorce to work its way through the system. And it's hard to watch, somebody go through that. And in the case of Tom Brady, I mean, the divorce basically happened in a matter of about 4 weeks with Gisele trying to save the marriage. I don't know what Tom was doing on his end. I'm sure he was making his case for them staying together and them ultimately deciding, you know what, this isn't going to work out. She said she made the only statement that gave any sort of clue as to what was actually wrong, and that was the fact that they had grown apart. Is football the reason for that? I don't know. And I've got so many thoughts on this. I really do. But the reality is this. I am 3,000 miles away from, probably 2,500 miles away from Tampa, out here in Palm Springs, California. I don't know the first thing about Tom Brady's marriage to Gisele Bündchen. And I think it would be flat out ignorance for me to sit here and say it's one person's fault or the other. All I can talk about is what I know of Tom Brady through open source reporting and what he has said himself. And the one thing we know about Tom Brady for certain is the guy is addicted to football. Some people's first marriage, some people's first love is their career. I'll tell you a story. First date that I had with the man that I've now been with for 11 years. First date we had. I sat down at lunch with him, had a great lunch, and I said to him, look, my first love is my career. That's what comes first. And that means if I move, you move. Or if you don't want to move, you don't move. This was literally on the first date I was having this conversation. I set the ground rules. I said, look, this is where I am in my life. And I don't know if Tom Brady ever had that conversation with Giselle. If they ever thought he would play this long. Nobody plays this long. They've been together 13 years. That means they were together basically in year 7 of his career. Or year, I don't know, whatever it was. 8 of his career. I don't know. But nobody thinks their husband's going to be an NFL quarterback at the age of 45. But Tom's made it clear he can't quit football. That's his first love. And by the way, I'm not going to kill the guy for that. I'm not going to kill the guy figuratively for his career being his first love because I'm that same person. Obviously not as a professional athlete, but as a professional broadcaster. I walked away from this for 6 years. I didn't have to do this ever again. Could have found something else to do. I have other passions, other hobbies, things I like. And here I am. 6 years after I got let go from NBC, I decided I was going to do a show again. So I get it. The guy is addicted to what he gets, the emotions he feels, what drives him through his career. And I got to tell you, the one thing I thought of today when this marriage officially became no more, you know what the first thought that came to my mind is? He's not retiring after this year. Tom's not going to go out like this. Tom Brady's going to keep playing. That was the first thing that I thought of today after the initial thought of, man, the heartache that's got to be going through this guy. There's no way he's not feeling this emotionally. Obviously, she is. But the next thing that popped into my head is he's not going to retire. Tom Brady's going to be back next year. And physically, I don't see why he shouldn't. He can still play the game. He can still make the throws. So why should he retire now? The one thing that was sort of mucking it up for him was obviously his marriage being on the rocks. Well, that's been dissolved. That's no longer. So what's to say that Tom Brady isn't going to come back next year? Maybe it's not with Tampa Bay. Maybe he goes and plays somewhere else. Maybe he goes to some team that is basically Super Bowl ready, but all they need is a quarterback. I got a place that comes to mind. I'm going to tell you where it is when we come back. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You want to tweet at the show? Send it to me at the back page on Twitter, at the back page. Do you think Tom Brady's going to keep playing after this year? Let me know what you think. I think he's coming back. He's not going out like this. No way. This dude will play till he's 50 if he has to. He's not going out like this. I got a real good idea as to where he could be next year. We'll talk about it as we continue on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page, and this is SportsMap Radio.